Joining me now from Fort Worth, Texas, is Dr. Alex Del Carmen, an associate dean with the School of Criminology, Criminal Justice, and Strategic Studies at Tarleton State University. All right, thank you for being here, Doctor. First of all, law enforcement, they are being heavily criticized online tonight for how they treated the situation. And these rioters, the people who in an instant became criminals, did they handle it correctly?
You know, I think what we saw tonight and this afternoon in Washington, D.C. is a failure of coordination and preparation, right? From a law enforcement perspective, you get ready for these types of events days and weeks in advance. We typically would do a social media sweep. We would gather intelligence to find out who's going to be there, how many people are going to line up, what type of weapons. And in my view, the fact that they actually penetrated that outer circle of the Capitol building is in itself a failure. So I wouldn't be surprised if
whose failure?
People are fired. Well, I think it's the failure of the leadership that is in charge of providing that level of security for the Capitol building. This is the seat of government in the most powerful nation in the world. I mean, we expect a better protection than that.
Would you place blame with Capitol Police, who are doing the bulk of that? Would you place blame with the Department of Defense, which denied the request of the National Guard in D.C. to be on hand and help with that? Who bears the blame?
Certainly not the individuals that are out there risking their lives to protect the lives of the legislators, right? The individuals that drew the guns and protected the Capitol building are heroes. But I think the management, those individuals that are in charge of providing that level of preparation, coordination, and security are to be blamed. And whether that's the politicians that were behind this or the individuals that are actually working out the logistics. But look, in security and law enforcement 101, this is something that you would have been ready for, 2 weeks in advance. We've known about this event. We've known about January 6th for a long, long time. There is simply no excuse for us to be counting at least one individual dead and all of these other people injured, including and predominantly law enforcement.
Could you help explain to me these individuals? Because, I'm looking at this most recent statement from President Obama 3 minutes ago, and he says to Republican leaders, they can continue down this road and keep stoking the raging fires or, choose reality. When you look at these people who did this today, how does criminology work? Were these messages tapping into people who were already prone to crime, or did these messages convert those people into criminals?
I think it's safe to assume that some people that showed up this afternoon in front of the Capitol building were not there with the intentions of committing a crime. But I do think that obviously there were those individuals that were looking for the opportunity to engage in some sort of a violent act. What typically happens is we see this, by the way, not only today, but we see this around the globe in cases that we've studied, what we call mob psychology, which is the idea that people are inspired by an ideology, right? They follow something where they feel they're righteous. And if you have politicians that are feeding into that ideology and at least not stopping it, then obviously once you cross that line where you bring weapons, military exposure, or military training, you have the ideology in place, how would this be any different from anything that we've seen overseas in the past few years where the same elements are in place?
So when we see the other, no matter who they are, and they're doing something that is wrong, I think we're prone to see reprobates. But you're saying there might be some reprobates in there, but many of them had a conversion of sorts the past few years.
Sure, and you got to remember too that there are some people that showed up this afternoon, I'm sure, with the intentions of just protesting and then going home. But unfortunately, they're caught sort of in the middle of this, where you have individuals that are now engaging in violence, trespassing. The euphoria is there, the adrenaline is flowing, and sure enough, you find yourself in a crowd that now you've weaponized a lot of the individuals that never had a criminal intent, and now they're committing crimes because they're caught in the moment. Right? That doesn't excuse them from what they've done. It simply explains the behavior, right?
A final question here, Professor. Do you expect changes to security at the Capitol going forward?
There is absolutely no question that will happen. And I also expect that we're going to be studying the videos and what happened today for many years to come, not only for the Capitol building, for Capitol buildings across the United States and particularly in Washington.
Dr. Alex Del Carmen with Tarleton State University, thank you so much. We appreciate it.